The winter storm is about to arrive in southwest Michigan. Let's take a look at the latest weather models and then also talk about another significant winter storm that could be impacting us closer to this weekend. The time is 6:17 p.m. and it is January 8th, and there is no time to lose today. We're going to get right into it, looking at the latest radar imagery. Okay, you can see the winter storm making its way into the Great Lakes region at this current moment. It has entered Illinois and is starting to bring heavy snow and heavy wet snow in nature. This is going to be packing snow for a lot of places. These places will probably start to see the snow begin to dissipate. But if you look down here in parts of Indiana, we already have a band of snow making its way into parts of central Indiana, moving towards northern Indiana and southwest Michigan. You can also see all of these different advisories and warnings that are out for this upcoming system. And if you get a look at, for example, this advisory around Kokomo and Muncie area, you can see that is a winter weather advisory, wet snow with accumulations of 1 to 3 inches and winds of 35 miles per hour. The reason why we're putting out these winter weather advisories is because, again, they're impacting the morning commute, okay? The snow is likely going to taper off and melt pretty quickly as it moves through, but it will have an impact on the morning commute, especially in areas such as northern Indiana and southern and southeastern Michigan. You can also see northwest Ohio is in there as well. So, plan on slippery road conditions Tuesday morning for this region. Would not be surprised to see a few schools that close. It's going to be kind of a pick and choose situation, but I think we will see some travel impacts in this region. And if there happens to be a snow day, I will be out pretty early in the morning checking out the roads, making sure that they are starting to clear up for your morning commute. May drive a little bit north as well. We'll have to see how things go down. But Upper Peninsula, you also have those winter weather advisories as well, and a winter storm warning. Let's highlight that real quick with around the Mackinac Bridge area, seeing the potential for 6 to 11 inches of snow from this system. Again, northern Michigan is going to see heavier impacts from this than other places. 3 to 6 inches, and in the higher elevations we'll see greater. That's kind of what is being forecasted by the National Weather Service. So that is what's being shown by their models here. So the storm is on its way. You can see it here, taking that shape that we've kind of recognized in the models. In fact, it's producing blizzard conditions. And honestly, looking at the latest models for the upcoming storm on Friday, we might see some blizzard conditions soon as well. There's a lot to get into today, and we're going to dive right into each one of these events. So let's get to now again, here's a graphic of all of the different wet advisories and warnings we have. You can see it pretty much covers most of Michigan except the thumb region, northern Indiana, and northwest Ohio. Upper Peninsula seeing those winter storm warnings. Okay, let's take a look at the models now. This is the more recent model. In fact, I'm actually going to go to a newer model run that's starting to update here. And you can get an idea of how this storm is going to evolve based on this graphic. So here we have the HRRR, and it's showing, again, that snowfall potential. Snowfall will begin in Michigan around 1 a.m., and I'll get to Indiana in just a second. But 2 a.m., it continues to lift off to the north and start to get heavier in nature. 6 a.m., 7 a.m. Interesting thing to note is that it does depict the snow continuing through about 8 a.m., actually through about 9 a.m. in some spots before it begins to kind of see some drying out, and there's a wintry mix falling across parts of the southern regions. I'm going to expand this out to the regional view real quick so you can get a focus on when it will impact your area in Indiana and Ohio. So again, snow begins to arrive around 11 p.m. on tonight, and it's going to be arriving and making its way up towards portions of northern Indiana, northwestern Ohio. Now you see this here, this shade of pink. This is indicating heavy snow, a band of heavy snow. This is not indicating freezing rain, rather heavy snow. And that purple is indicating a wintry mix, so a mix of rain and snow. So no freezing rain is expected from this, but you can see it's going to become pretty widespread and start to impact the area, okay? And it's going to stay longest across portions of northeast Indiana, northwest Ohio. Now, what is the expected snow accumulations up to this point? Well, we're going to freeze frame it here, and I will show you exactly the expectation from the latest models in the HRRR, and we'll compare it to the National Weather Service's forecast. Now, this is only up until around 10 a.m., okay? So keep that in mind. Now, it does show roughly 3 to 6 inches, but again, keep in mind that the rainfall that comes behind this is going to melt a lot of that snow that does end up falling across this area, okay? It's going to warm up pretty quick, especially down in this area. You're going to see a quick rise in temperatures, and it's going to start to melt off the snow. So the accumulations that are shown here are not going to reflect the true depth of the snow by the time this system is over. Okay, and again, you have your snow falling out in this direction. It's going to make its way up into parts of northern Michigan later on, which we will look at in just a second. So let's look at the latest from the GFS model. Okay, this is the 18Z run, the latest run that we have. Okay, again, showing that similar scenario. 4 a.m. You've got snow occurring across much of southern Michigan, heavier bands across extreme southern Michigan, and then you start to see that transitioning point around 10 a.m. back into rain, okay? And then it's going to lift off to the north. So again, the impacts from this system for the Tuesday morning commute will be felt across southern Michigan, northern Indiana, northwestern Ohio. Other places will be dealing with the snow later on and the impacts to it, okay? So that is what is being shown for this storm by the latest models. Now let's branch it out a little bit. NWS forecast, National Weather Service forecast for total snow accumulation. Now again, remember when we saw on that HRRR run that there was 5 to 6 inches here. According to the National Weather Service, that's not necessarily going to be the case, okay? 3 inches. Again, that snow is going to melt as the rainfall continues to come upon it, and then you also have 4 to 5 inches of snow across southeastern Michigan. And then you have that heavier accumulation as you get farther north where the rain is not necessarily going to impact the area. Impacts to your daily life, I guess you could say. You could see in the shades of yellow, that means there's going to be minor impacts, okay? So it means travel is going to be slowed down a little bit, and you're just going to have to use some extra caution on the roadways, whereas orange indicates a moderate hazard. Again, keeping in mind those bands will be heavy in the morning. Those places shaded in orange will likely see a bit more of an impact to their daily life and may see some more significant impacts. And you can see out here that there's major impacts across portions of Wisconsin, Illinois, and Iowa based on what is expected out there, which again, there's going to be quite a bit of snow out in that particular region. Now we're going to switch gears to the upcoming outlook for this next winter storm that is projected, okay? So again, we're kind of packing a lot into one video here, but again, you have this system that's going to move through. You have a little brief clipper system in between the two storms that might bring a little bit of snow to the Great Lakes region. But then Friday afternoon into Saturday is going to be an impactful snowstorm. Okay, and I say snowstorm, particularly northwest of Columbus, Dayton, Indianapolis region, places in northern Indiana, northwest Ohio, southern Michigan. Same places will be impacted by the system, but the difference is we are going to be on the colder side of the system. The places that will be seeing rain tomorrow are probably not going to see rain on this system later on. There's some good model agreement with this system, and it's probably going to shift here and there as we get to this point. So again, keep that in mind. There's still going to be some model changes with this upcoming storm that we're looking at for Friday and Saturday, but still, there is some good model agreement, I will admit, with this system. So let's look at it in the future run of the GFS. So we're going a little bit farther. Here's that clipper system I was talking about that could bring a little bit of snow to parts of Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio once again. Okay, that'll be moving through. And then this is our next system. Okay, it develops coming back from the southwest. Similar look as the system that's making its way into the Great Lakes region now. It's a similar look. It's a similar track. Okay, but again, the air on the back side of this is going to be colder. The low is going to be deeper. And it's going to be shifted possibly slightly further to the east, okay? So you can see that places such as northern Ohio, northern Indiana, and southern Michigan could have a greater run at heavier snow. So that's just the thing to keep in mind. The ensembles do agree that this heavier snow will kind of figure its way into parts of Michigan and northern Indiana more likely. So it's going to be mainly heavy, wet snow. All right, so that is something that we are watching carefully, and a lot of people are watching it carefully at this current moment. And then you will have also, in addition to that, lake effect snow on the back side of this system. I'm not going to talk about snowfall accumulations just yet because it's still too far in advance to really nail down those particular forecast scenarios. But I am expecting an impactful snowstorm that could possibly bring some snowfall accumulations that reach the double digits. And I know we were talking about that with the last system. This system still does have the potential to shift further west, but it doesn't look as likely as with this system. Okay, ensemble agreement's a little bit better with this one with regards to its track. Okay, so that's just the thing to keep in mind. On the back side of the system, we have another thing to watch out for, and that is the cold. All right, let me do a quick wind chill forecast for you with the GFS model. Okay, as we go with the passing of that storm on Friday into Saturday, you can see that cold air sagging in on the back side. This is welcoming a cooler air mass, not necessarily an extremely cold air mass, but a cool air mass that's going to bring wind chills down into the sub-zero levels. Okay, keep in mind this is the wind chill. This is not the actual, feels like this is not the actual air temperature, but still wind chills down in the 20s can lead, in the sub-zero 20s can lead to frostbite, especially, and also in the sub-zero in Michigan, even despite the fact that we have the lake warming us up. So it is going to be a very cold end to this week, and it's probably going to continue to stay very cold as we get into early next week as well. Some very cold wind chills are being projected by some of the models. And again, something like this is bound to happen at some point in January, but it looks like we won't really start to see a change until we get into the middle or end of January. So there is that to watch out for as well. So summary of this, you got this storm tonight, potentially producing snow accumulations of around 3 inches according to the National Weather Service. You have Friday's storm system that's going to welcome in possibly some double-digit snowfall totals as well as Arctic air. That's all stuff that is going to be impacting us. So make sure to subscribe and stay updated. I am going to be likely, unless there's not a snow day, likely chasing this system tomorrow as early as 6 a.m. so you can get an idea of the morning commute on the roads. You can see it right from the ground. And then Saturday, I'm actually planning on playing some disc golf as part of my storm chase for the upcoming potential snow system. Not to mention also Saturday's snowstorm is going to be very windy. There's probably going to be some blowing snow, and in addition to the lake effect snow that comes. So a lot of action happening over the next week, maybe the next 2 weeks. So it's important to get a resource, a valuable resource of weather. That could be the National Weather Service, and I'd recommend looking there, but we also have you covered here. Also, Michigan Storm Chasers. There's a lot of chasers out there that are keeping track of these things for you. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you all later.